second lesson of geography. Good morning, students. I'm Manasi from Khernagar Municipal School, Bandra East, and today we are going to zoom in the second lesson of geography, and that is endogenetic movement. Before going to it, let's see what we have seen in the last lecture of geography. In Let's Recall section. In the last lecture, we have seen about the lesson number 1, distributional map. We have covered all the 3 methods of the distributional map. That was the dot, chloropath, and isopath method. We have done reading as well as solving question answer based on these 3 maps. We have also done the way how these maps are prepared. Dot method as well as chloropath method as well as isopath method. In the last section of the last lecture, we have taken the concept of field visit, which was included in the lesson, and we have completed the planning, preparation, the things to be carried, what precaution should be taken during the field visit, and also the important part which was related to the field visit was report writing. So let's move to today's lecture. Now, in today's lecture, we are going to be get acquainted with interior of the earth, and that is the endogenetic movement. So you can see here on the slide, this is lesson number 2, endogenetic movement. I'm dividing this lesson into 2 parts. Now we are going to see the first part, that is the half lesson in today's lecture. Endogenetic movement. Various natural events occurs on the earth from time to time. So which are these natural events? Floods, storms, then snowfall and rainfall, etc. So all these type of natural disaster we have already seen in our revision lecture. Where we have done the revision lecture, we have covered almost all type of natural disaster. So all these natural disasters are related to the movement which is caused in the interior of the earth. Some natural disasters are also related with the movement which cause in the exterior of the earth. But today we are going to see the movement which is as a result of the endogenetic movement. Similarly, because of this movement, below the Earth's surface, natural event occurs. Now, all this movement you must have learned in the previous classes. You must have learned about the interior of the earth in the previous classes. So we'll see this. Now look at the slide here. What is shown over here is the picture of earthquake. The events like earthquake and volcanic eruption occurs for organisms living on the earth. These events are disastrous. This event can cause a loss of life and property. Because of these natural calamities, in this lesson, we are going to learn about the endogenetic internal movement. So in this lesson, we are going to learn about the internal movement, that is the endogenetic movement. So before going directly, let's see the newspaper snippet on your first page of the lesson, that is page number 9. So let's go to the newspaper snippet. So this also you're having on your first page at the starting of the lesson. Now you can see here the article is given, that is the Nepal devastated. Now what this article is related with? This article is related with a natural disaster, and this is related with an earthquake. Now let's go to the article. Powerful earthquake rocks Nepal, nearly 1,500 killed. Kathmandu, 25th April PTI. So this is from 25th April newspaper snippet. A powerful earthquake measuring 7.9 on Richter scale struck Nepal today. Nearly 1,500 people were killed and over 1,000 people were injured in the disaster. From looking at this snippet, you will understand how dangerous would have been the magnitude of this earthquake. The quake and a series aftershock delivered a severe blow to Nepal. The tremor was also felt across the vast stretches of east and northeast India. The main point was in the Nepal, but the tremor which was there, the effect of the earthquake was spread near the vast areas of northeast and east India. It was also felt in China, Bhutan, as far in the Pakistan, Bangladesh. The earthquake with an epicenter at Lamjung around 80 kilometers northwest of Kathmandu. So the epicenter was at Lamjung. Had it impact in the several cities in Bihar, West Bengal and Uttar Pradesh. So India was also affected because of this earthquake which caused in the Nepal. The initial report said the tremor measured 7.9 magnitude. It said the quake hit the at 11:40 a.m. local time at the shallow depth of 11 kilometers. There were 17 majors aftershock measuring over 5 in the next 2.5 hours, said an officer of a National Seismological Center. Another aftershock measuring 6.6 hit within 80 minutes of the quake. This is the largest earthquake in Nepal after 80 years. India the thing which was happened here, the India had sent the rescue team immediately. After that, we'll see to the next section, that is a big tremor. Now, in the big tremor, you can see here that a picture is shown 7.9 Richter scale at 11:40 a.m. So this was happened at 11:40 a.m. 6.6 Richter scale. Another hit, it is occurred at 12:19 p.m. The epicenter was in Lamjung, Nepal. Now the numbers of death: India 53, Tibet 12, and Bangladesh 2. The focus was 11 kilometers deep. You can see here on the slide, the focus 11 kilometers deep, 17 more shocks after two big tremor, duration ranging from 30 seconds to 2 minutes. India, Bangladesh, and Pakistan also experienced the tremor. 22 states in India feel the tremor. Now, this is regarding the newspaper snippet, which is given on in your textbook. Now, some questions are given below it. Let's solve those questions. What caused the large scale casualties? So, what was the cause of this casualties? What was the cause of it? That was, we have seen here in the snippet, it is a earthquake. What was the magnitude of the earthquake? The magnitude of the earthquake is 7.9 Richter scale, which is given, and afterward it was 6.6 Richter scale. Then, which country was the most affected in this earthquake? We have seen the earthquake took place in Nepal. So, Nepal will be the most affected, and afterwards, the waves are spread to the other nearby countries. So, those will be the less affected. Where were the epicenter of the earthquake? The epicenter was found at Lamjung in Nepal. Which are the other affected areas? Along with Nepal, which were the affected areas? India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, China, and Bhutan. At what depth was the focus located? The focus was located at 11 kilometers below the Earth's surface. Then what kind of damage is seen because of earthquake? So you can see here on the slide that was a loss of life and property. According to you, what would be the reason behind this earthquake? Now, the reason you know, because it is because of the endogenetic movement. Have you ever experienced, this is open-ended question, this is your own experience, you're going to write. Now, let's move further. to the next slide. Okay, now let's move to this particular slide. You can see here figure 2.2, which is given, figure 2.2a, which is given on page number 9. Try this. Now, these activities are actually related with your lesson. In what way they are related with your lesson? Let's see. Now, activity 2.2, page number 9. You can see here some notebooks are kept on the table. 3 to 4 objects are there, such as chalk, duster, sharpener, eraser are kept. And now what you have to do is that we'll see in the next slide, that is 2.2. Now quickly take out a notebook without affecting others. Without affecting others, what you have to do is that you have to take out one notebook from the middle of it, and you will find as you lifted one book from the middle, there was a slow movement. When you lifted this, when you lifted the thing from the middle, you will feel that a little shaking was there. There was a slow movement. The objects got vibrate but did not fall down. So this was the slow movement. Now let's go to another figure which is given in your textbook, that is 2.3a. Again, rearrange the notebook, keep chalk, duster, sharpener, rubber, etc. So the same thing what we can see here, the same thing is arranged. The books are there. Above the books, the sharpener, duster, eraser, everything is kept. Now, what we are going to do here, we'll see in the next slide, that is 2.3b. Now, what you have to do is that you have to give a slight push to the structure. You have to just give a slight dash to the structure and observe what happened. Then, student, what will happen? Once again, give a hard push and then see what will happen. In the first push, you will observe that the structure which was kept above the books, they were just trembling. Okay, they were just trembling. And afterwards, when you gave a little bit more hard push, then what happened to the structure? They will fall down. So let's find out the geographical explanation for this particular activity and try to relate it with the lesson. Now, the same thing happened. What we have seen in the activities, the same thing happened in the case of the interior of the earth movement, earthquake, and volcanoes. So, how it is related? Let's see. Volcanoes and earthquake occurs because of the instability in the interior of the earth. Wherever there is an instability in the interior of the earth, this type of natural calamities occurs. This instability is created due to the movement occurring in the earth's interior. Now, what is this instability which is created by this movement? We'll see. For that, we have to see the diagram of the interior of the earth. So let's go to that slide. You can see here, what you can see here in the diagram, you have already learned in your 8th standard. You have learned about the tree structure. We have already taken this diagram in our revision lectures. So what layers are there? Crust is there. Crust is divided into upper crust, lower crust. Then mantle is there. Mantle is divided into outer section, lower section. And then the core is there. Core is again divided into inner core and outer core. So this is the earth layer. And where we are standing, that is the part, uppermost part of the crust. The crust is divided into two parts, upper crust, the land area, and the lower crust below the ocean surface. So now what actually it is happening here? We'll see. The movement occurs in the upper layer of the mantle, and the mantle is divided into upper layer and the lower layer. This actually mantle which is there is divided into two parts. We have seen upper layer and the lower layer. Now, what is actually happening here? You can see here, these are the waves in the mantle. Okay, the more energy is released when the tremendous power is there, more energy is released by radioactive material in the mantle. These strong energy waves travel from one place to another. You can see here in the diagram. This is the diagram of the waves in mantle. These waves are actually they are moving from one place to another. We are going to study about these waves, P waves, S waves, L waves, that is primary, secondary, and the surface waves in the second part of endogenetic movement. So here what you have to learn or keep in mind is that these waves are creating a lot of pressure. Okay, then due to such flow of energy, it hits on the tectonic plates and the tectonic plates collide with each other. They get disturbed and this is caused an instability in the mantle. This movement are classified on the basis of the velocity, direction, and the landforms are produced. That also we have seen in the revision lecture. What landforms are produced because of the intensity of this movement of endogenetic process. So before going to it, let's understand the classification table which is given in your textbook. So let's see the classification table. Classification of internal movement. Now, basis on classification, what is there? It's in velocity. Velocity, it's a speed. Okay. So what is the meaning of velocity? Velocity is the speed. Now, slow movement occurring continuously, like the formation of mountains and continent. Because of the speed of the internal movement, try to understand the diagram. Because of the speed of the internal movement, in the movements are of two types. One is slow movement and one is sudden movement or quick movement. So what happened here? Because of the slow movement, occurring continuously, the formation of mountains and continent take place. It takes lot time to form a mountain or continent. So that is why it is called as the slow movement. And the sudden movement in form of the events like earthquake and volcanoes. Suddenly they are erupting very quickly. They are erupting without any warning. So it is called as the sudden movement. Now on the basis of classification, direction we'll see. So direction is what? Horizontal movement, and the direction in the sudden upward downward movement. Then landforms. Landforms which are created, continent buildings are there creating continents, plateaus, highlands. Because of this movement, continents are created, plateaus are created, mountains are created. The two types of mountains are also there, that is a folding and folding mountain. So that this folding and folding mountain we are going to see in our next slide. Now, students try to understand this movement occurring in these two ways. Now, slow movement is there and sudden movement is there. So, first we are going to see what is slow movement. Let's go to it. So, what is the effect of the slow movement? Be seen in the formation of the different landform. Now, actually, it is a change caused due to the slow movement. This is the formation landform of mountains and continent on the earth crust. And this can be explained in the form of this table. What we can see here on the table is that the slide is given here. The effect, the what is given over here in this table, the direction of waves movement, then effect of hard rock and effect on soft rock. Now, what is the direction? Waves are coming together to each other. When the waves are coming together to each other, it is called as the compression. Okay, that we are going to see. It is coming together. And when the waves are going away from each other, it is called as the tension or extension. They are extending from each other. So it is called as a tension. Now, what is the effect of this compression on the hard rock? The hard rocks, whenever the waves are coming together, so because of these waves, the layers of the rocks are falling on each other, and that is why the fouls are created. And other side, because of the tension, the layers of the rocks are going apart from each other because the waves are moving from away each other. So the layers of the rocks are actually going away from each other. Now, effect on the soft rocks. What is the effect on the soft rock because of this compression and because of this tension? Now, effect on the soft rock is there folding. Okay, the layers are coming together, the waves are coming together, and it creates the fold. So the fold mountains are created. And what happened in the tension? The layers are going apart from each other. Then the valleys are created, foul plains are created, block mountains are created. So this was a beautiful table from which we can learn that what can be the process. Now, this mountain building process, okay, why the folds are called as an orogenic and the uplifting large part of the earth crust, it is called an epi-orogenic process. So this we are going to see later. Now let's move to the term compression and how it is linked with our lesson. Let's see page number 11. So this is page number 11. Next slide we are going to see. So here is an activity given for you students. And remember, all these activities is not just for playing. It is related with a geographical term, and it is make you understand what actually and how actually the process goes. Now, see this. This is on page number 11, that is figure 2.5a and figure 2.5b. So in this particular figure, we are going to learn about a compression. For this, what you have to do is that take a 30 centimeters long paper strip. Place your hand on both the ends of the strip as shown in figure 2.a. Move both the hands together each other and give pressure for the strip. And then you can see here what will happen. In the activity 1, okay, activity 1, you can see it is told for you to hold your hand on the strip. So activity 1, the strip was moved by placing the hand on both the sides. The work performed on the strip, it is called as compression. The pressure was given in the middle, that a center of the strip from both the ends. As the result, the strips moves and the fold are formed. Same thing happened over here. In the earth crust, same thing happened in the earth crust. How it is related? So it is related like same thing happened in the earth crust. Due to the movement of the interior waves, the folds are formed, and because of this, the fold mountain are formed. Now let's see what is this fold mountain. Now you can see here compression, as well as the second slide you can see here the picture of fold mountain, the fold part of mountain, and see the design which is created on this fold mountain. Now, fold mountain, energy is transformed from the interior of the earth. You can see here how the energy waves works. Because of this energy waves, the pressure working towards each other in the horizontal direction, there is an effect on the soft rocks. Now, what will happen? The layers of the soft rocks forms fold. You can see here in the slide, you can see the second part of the slide, the layers which are formed, the layers which are come together and the lines are formed. Those are actually the fold, and their complexity increases. They become more complex. Many lines are formed. Because of this movement, the surface of the earth gets uplifted and the layers falls on each other. That means the fold mountains are formed. Now you can see here in this figure 2.6b how the layers are fold on each other and how these mountains are formed. Now we'll move to the next slide and let's see the examples of this particular fold mountains. Now what examples are given here? You can see here in the slide Himalayas, fold mountain, then Aravallis, then Rockies mountain, then Andes mountain, then Alps. So these were the examples of the fold mountain. Now we have seen what is folding. Folding means what? Because of the activity of and how it is related with the activity of compression. Okay, because of the folding, what happens? Because of the interior of the earth, the instability of the earth, the movement on the soft rocks are occurring, and you can see the line like structure. The layers of the rocks are just overlapping each other. That is called as the folding. Now we'll try to understand the next activity, that is an tension or extension, by figure 2.8. So come on page number 12. So this is an activity which is given in your textbook, figure 2.8a and figure 2.8b. Now what is done over here, see students, take a long strip of thin paper. In the same way how you took in the first activity, you have to take over here. Take a long strip of thin paper, hold one end of the paper in your right hand and hold another in the left hand. So you have to hold the paper by both the sides and from right and left hand. Pull both the ends away from each other. Now what you have to do is that you have to pull both the ends away from each other. What you can see that the strip got cut in the middle due to tension, because when you pull something with a force, what will happen? It will break. The strip has got a crack in the in between because of the tension that is pulling. So let's understand this particular activity, how it is related with the interior of the earth. So let's go to the next slide. Now, this is the effect of tension, what we have seen just now with the help of activity. Okay, that was the effect of tension with the help of the strip, paper strip. Now, the same thing is happening over here. Now, in this activity, the tension is created means when you pull both the things, like you're holding the strip by both the hands, and what happened? The strip got tear. Similarly, when the movement occurs in the opposite direction to each other, the tension is generated and the fouls are created on the earth crust. Means the earth's surface moves away from each other and the fouls are seen. And because of this foul, what happened? You can see there is a rise of a different landforms. Now this is the block mountain. Okay, this what you can see here, that is the block mountain. Now, what is this block mountain? Due to the internal movement, the horizontal waves moving away from each other are formed. The waves are actually moving away from each other. This causes a tension. This takes the surface. These waves are taking the layers of the rocks apart from each other. So this create an extension or tension in the layers of the rock. The layers are moving away from each other, and because of which the cracks or the fractures are formed. These are known as foul. Similarly, Waves are coming together in the hard rocks forms the foul due to compression. And when these two parts are going away from each other, you can see here in the slide, the two parts of the fouls have moved away because of the pressure. And the middle part is lifted upward. It is raised upward. This is called as the block mountain. The structure is seen in the form of a block. So that is called as a block mountain. And what examples are given over here of the block mountain? See, Meghalaya Plateau, which is given in your textbook, that is the example of block mountain. You can see here the blocks like structures are there. So Meghalaya Plateau is the example of block mountain. Now let's move to another activity on page number 13. So let's move on page number 13, another activity. And it is told for you to make this activity and draw the diagram emerging because of the notebooks in your own notebook. So you have to draw the diagram of this particular activity. This is not given in your textbook, but it is only instructed in your textbook how to do it. So let's go to it. Now, what you have to do is that you can see here in the first part, take a three notebooks. Okay, take a three notebook of the same size. Now, what you have to do, hold them tightly on the table, keeping a distance of 2 to 3 centimeters. Hold them tightly on the table. All the three books you have to stick to each other, little distance you have to keep and hold them tightly to each other. Now remove the two notebooks on each side. What you have to do is that you can see here in the next slide, the second part of the slide, the two notebooks which were there, they are removed from both the sides. And what you can see here, the middle book which was there, it went down. When you are lifting the two books from both the sides, the middle book which was stuck to both the books from both the ends, it went subside, so it went down. So this activity is just told, but the pictures are not given, but here are the pictures and how it will go. So this is how, what you can say, the notebook is subsiding or going down. Now how this particular previous activity is related, you can see here in the diagram of Rift Valley. Now what is this Rift Valley? We'll see. When the horizontal movement on the Earth's surface act in the opposite direction, what you can see here is that the horizontal movement which are there, they are acting into the opposite direction. It causes tension because the waves are moving away from each other. It creates a gap, layers on the rock, and it creates a tension. The middle part of it, it is creating a gap. When this extension increases, when this extension is becoming more, first what will happen? First, small cracks will develop, fractures will develop, and then slowly there you will find the increase in the size of the fracture. And then you can find the big structure is opened up and the structure has went down. As we have seen in the activity, of the books were stuck together, and then the two books, when they were removed from both the sides, what happened to the middle one? The middle one subsides and goes down. So in the same way, the same thing happened over here. Because these two structures are there of the fold, it is taken away due to the internal movement, that is the movement of the waves. Then what will happen? The middle part of the structure goes down, and consequently both the sides rocks are continuously layers are found in others direction. Now this is why the Rift Valley is created. Now Rift Valley, how it is created? These fractures are developed side by side on the earth crust. The land between this is subsiding. As I told you, it goes down and it goes deep. So that is how the Rift Valley is created. We'll go to the next. Now, this is an example of Rift Valley, that is the Rift Valley of Narmada. You can see here the part of the lands as blocks have gone apart, and because of that, what has happened, a valley is created, the deep surface is created, and the water is accumulated in that, and that is how the valley is created. So there are some examples of the Rift Valley, the Rift Valley of Narmada, the Great Rift Valley of Africa, the Rhine Valley of Europe. So these are some of the examples of rift valleys. Now, this we have seen uh, fold mountain, we have seen fouled mountain, we have seen the blocks, we have seen the rift valley. Apart from this mountain building and valley building, slow movement also responsible for epiorogenic movement, and that I've already told you what is this epiorogenic movement. That is wrapping or uplift the large part of the crust, and due to such movement, the continents are formed. Now, continent building. Now, how these continents are formed? You can see here in the slide, continent building. The slow movement occurs towards the center or from the earth center. That is the slow movement which is occurring towards the center. Because of such movement, the vast part of the earth crust is uplifted. Now, when the small part of the earth crust is uplifted and formed like a heap-like structure, that time the mountains are created. But here, what is happened? The large amount of the crust has come out. It is uplifted. It is raised above the level, above the ground level, or above the plain surface. The large part is uplifted above the mean sea level. And that is how the continents are formed. Therefore, this movement are called as continent building movement. Due to such movement, large areas, plateaus or extensive plateaus are formed. Because of this movement, what happened? Plateaus, continent, extensive plateaus, big plateaus are formed. If originally the continent's portion of the earth goes down, it forms the seabed. Now, what is this seabed? Now, seabed means the top surface of the earth in the sea and ocean. Now, what we have seen, the continent and plateau, that is the area which is lying above the ocean. Okay, we are talking about the surface which is lying on the crust, upper part of the crust. Now, what happened in the lower parts of the seabed? Seabed means what? The top surface of the earth in the seas and ocean. That will see here how the seabeds are created. You can see here the part of the crust has come out, and here the structure of the solid structure is formed, and this is called as the seabed. Seabed means the top surface of the earth in the seas and ocean. So here the surface is formed in the seas and ocean. So this particular thing we have learned about the slow earth movement. So this was what we have learned about the slow earth movement. So let's go to it. Let's go to the revision part of it. So tomorrow we'll start with a sudden movement. We have started with a recall. There is no need to go for it again. Now, endogenetic movement. Once again, I'll make you revise. Endogenetic movement means the movement which happens in the interior of the earth. Exogenetic movements means the movement which are occurring because of the outer forces lying on the earth crust. And this movement we are going to see that is in the two parts. So half lesson we have covered, and half lesson we are going to see tomorrow. So what we have seen, what types are created, natural disasters are there. Natural disasters we have already learned. Floods are there, storms are there, snowfalls is there, rainfall is there. Okay. Now, in this particular lesson, we are going to learn in basically in the endogenetic movement. So, earthquake and volcanoes. We have also done the newspaper Snippet. This was an article of one of the newspaper, how the Nepal was devastated, and we have gone through the article. We have seen like what was the measurement according to the Richter scale when the earthquake was occurred. The measuring was 7.9 according to Richter scale. We are going to see what is Richter scale and all, seismograph and all, in the second part of our lesson. Then, where was the epicenter? It was in Lamjung, Nepal, as well as the surrounding area was also affected because of this. India, Bangladesh, China, Pakistan were affected because of this earthquake. Then we have seen figure 2.2a, how the things were arranged and how after taking one book, there was an sudden shaking on the objects which were kept above the books. So this was due to the slow movement. And then again we have seen in the 2.3a, similarly in the same way you have kept the things on the books, and then it was told for you to give a one dash and then again a one more strong push, and then what happens, the objects start trembling first, they start shaking first, and finally they falls down. So this is what happened in the sudden movement as well as in the slow movement according to the first two activity, and the sudden movement is seen in this activity. So, volcanoes and earthquake. Now, this is happening because the instability of the interior of the earth. The waves are traveling, the waves in the mantle are traveling, that is in the form of three waves, that is the primary waves, secondary waves, and the surface waves, which in detail in the next part of the lesson. Okay, these waves are coming and dashing on the tectonic plates, get collide with each other, and that is how the earth's surface gets starts shaking, and because of that the earthquakes are occurring, and when it erupts, that the volcanic eruption takes place. Then this is related with the waves, what I have told you just now. And the classification table we have seen the velocity because of the speed, what happens, the slow movement, formation of mountains and continents, sudden movement. It gives rise to the event like earthquake and volcanic eruption. The direction of the waves are in horizontal, upward, downward, and the landforms which are created because of this continent, plateaus, mountains like folding and folding. Then the effect, the direction on the waves, how the waves are coming together, it is called as the compression. When the waves are going from each other, it is called as the tension. What types of the landforms are created due to this? We have made acquainted with the compression activity by doing this activity of the paper strip, as well as we have seen what is the compression. Then because of this fold mountains are created, the fold are seen like the layers on the mountain. The examples of the fold mountains, Himalayas, Aravalis, and Rockies mountain, Andes, and Alps. Then we have seen the tension activity, that is extension activity, how the paper strip, it was holded in both the hands, and then the paper strip was stretched, and how what happened actually due to the overstretching, there is a crack, there is a fracture in the strip and it breaks apart. And the same thing is related with this effect and how the block mountains are created when these layers are moving away from each other in the horizontal direction. Then what happens, the middle part of the layer, it just lifted up, so this is gives a rise to a block mountain. Then we have seen the type of a block mountain example, that is Meghalaya Plateau. Then one activity was told for us to do, that is the three books and how the books were stick together, and when you remove the two books from both the sides, how the book subsides or goes down. And this is related with this particular thing, that is how the rift valley is created. When the two fowls are going apart from each other, then what happened, the layer of the middle rock, it goes down, it subsides, and that is how the Rift Valley is created. We have seen Narmada Valley, that is an example of the Rift Valley. How this low movement is related with the continent building, plateau building, and what is called as the seabed. The seabeds also we have seen. The seabed means the top surface of the earth in the seas. Okay, this is not on the ground, but in the seas and the ocean, which is lifted due to the endogenetic process. So it is called as the seabed. So these things are called as the seabed. So today we have covered the half part of the lesson. Today we have covered the half part of the lesson, and with this we have completed half part, and tomorrow we are going to complete the remaining part of the lesson. So if you're having any queries still here, students, you can ask me. Tomorrow we are going to see the half part of the lesson.